The opinions made in this video do not necessarily coincide with that of Imaginary Goddess, or anyone else for that matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Waiting for you to arrive again.
Hey guys, Ben Wheeler, the Mercenary King, here bringing you It's a Catastrophic Deck Profile with no end in sight. Oh baby. I've been pretty uninspired lately, but I don't know. I just feel like doing some videos tonight and I'm going to really get into it. Finally have a sort of space to myself that I can actually spread out in and take care of business, as they say in Vanguard. Let's begin with Pale Moon. Yeah, it's Pale Moon. Please forget the lighting. It's pretty bad in here. So this is a G build. As you can see here, my starter is Happiness Collector. I believe I talked about this deck earlier, but this is an updated full build with the set 5 stuff come out, which is just so fun, let me tell you. This is one of the most shenanigan-y decks that I've ever made, and many times opponent just sort of looks at me and says, okay, is that right? Is that a 30k Atlas column? And I go, yes. And of course I'm grinning like an idiot. Ba 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 ba, yes. Ba 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 ba, yes. Ba ba ba, yes. And I'll show you, of course, some of the best combos that can be had here in conjunction with the Strides. Pale Moon finally has the support and shenanigans it needs to be on par or better than Angel Feather. In many regards to its, not to its like defense, but just in the shenanigans that you can pull. So starter, Happiness Collector. It's Forerunner, G-Break 1. Put this unit into your soul. When another unit is placed on rearguard from soul, put it into the soul. Draw a card, soul charge 1. Remember, draw, then soul charge. You have to draw if you put it into your soul. Funnily enough, and soul charge. So be careful, this can mess you up. But only if you pay the cost. So basically what she does is I often call her out for abilities, like say with Harry, and then pull out a Misdirection, who comes out of the soul every time you summon something. Let me see if I can just... Sorry, let's continue where we left off. Come on. Nope, it's not zooming. That's okay. Basically, this pops out of the soul whenever you summon, say, this out, and then you can put this back in, and then soul charge and draw a card, and you're still not minusing yourself. It's pretty great, guys. It's pretty great. And just sort of other abilities in general in connection with bringing stuff out here. There's just a lot you can do it with. Like, for example, Ginny, Nightmare Doll goes in the soul, summons out Alice plus 5k. Put her down or summon her out from soul, and then put her back in and pull out a Nightmare Doll Alice. This goes in too, and then maybe you call it out before you call out the Alice, and you can do it again. I mean, you don't want to do it too many times because this is a lot of deck. You're losing 2 cards from the deck every time you use this, so you got to be careful. I also do this sort of combo with a crit trigger I'll show you. Then we have 2 Sky High Walkers. It's a stand from set 5. Yes. Put this card into the soul. If you have a Pale Moon Vanguard, choose a card from the damage zone, turn it face up. I have called it out and send it back in for some damage on flips, but he's not as useful as I thought he'd be, and I'm considering turning him into a crit. But no words on that yet. I just run 2. Prankster Girl of Mirrorland. She is one of my favorite cards in the set. Put this card onto the top of the deck. When this card is put into the soul, pay the cost, put it on the top of the deck. Search your deck for anything that isn't her. Don't use this. Like her or him or her or him or her, it, or him, just to thin out the deck. So it's pretty good. I run it at 4, and I think everyone should run 4 in their Pale Moon deck. But basically, it's to, well, keep things fresh, keep things flowing, keep the cycle of assassination and circuses going. Honk, honk, honk. If you need something into the soul, she can get it for you. There are cards like Purple Trapezus. Send it into the soul. Then you pull something out. And then you can put this into the top of the deck and search something out. By the way, auto abilities that like you soul charge and then call something out, like say with her, you soul charge, finish the ability, then use her ability. I know autos are confusing, and you might say, no, they're not, Ben. Well, here's the thing. This deck sometimes has 5 abilities going off simultaneously. I wish I could exaggerate the complexity of this deck, but I cannot. With using Harry Perryton, the starter, this thing, if you soul charge it, do any of the 3 abilities that soul charge, and then something like Purple Trapezus and a misdirection going off, it's very important you understand when things go off. Like myself, I've been having problems with auto abilities recently, just because I'm not having an auto ability when something happens. I'm having an auto ability where 3 things are activating at the same time. And I've got to figure out how they activate and what will interrupt what in the least BS method possible. It's hard. It's hard, and people don't understand. Rainbow Magician. When this unit attacks, if this unit boosted, soul charge 1, return this to the deck, shuffle deck. Basically, it's a draw. I do find I need just a little bit, just a little bit of draw here, and this returns to the deck. A trigger always returning to the deck is great, even if it is a draw trigger. And lastly, it helps me get a little soul if I'm behind or it's early game. A lot of really good reasons to play it. I play 4 crits. I don't know why I only run 3 of her, but you don't really need more. This is Darkside Swordmaster. Put this unit into soul if you have a Harry, grade 3 or greater. So if you stride the grade 4 Harry, that's fine too. You may pay the cost, put in a soul, draw a card, choose a Harry, get plus 5k, or choose the Vanguard, get plus 5k. So basically, and this is into soul plus 3k. Poison Juggler. Pretty generic. Basically, what you want to do is let's say you stride Harry with whatever. You stride plus 5k, put it out here, soul charge, etc. Use Rare Prankster Girl and all that jazz. By the way, Prankster Girl does not need to be put into soul from anywhere. It is from anywhere. It just doesn't have to be from the deck. So like you got a 9k booster here for like some sort of 12k attack or whatever. Or let's say that you strode Lunatic Dragon, so that's an 11k booster to say an Alice, who you used a Ginny on, so that's 26k. 28k, excuse me. So you swing, whip, draw, swing with the Alice and you use abilities as necessary. Swing with Harry into soul, draw a card. It's pretty great. And you can just keep summoning them out, and they have saved my bacon before. 4 heals, Popcorn Boy, Best Lad. 2 Magician of Quantum Mechanics. Basically, this is Counterblast. Send it into soul, send something else out, and then at the end of turn, reverse it. It doesn't have to be him, but you just have to choose a Magician of Quantum Mechanics from soul. So basically, it's a Magia ability before Magia, except with himself. Now, some people replace this slot with Brassy Bunnies, but I like him simply as a tech because I can use him to call something out. So like I can summon him out with, say, a Magician of Purple Trapezus, and then I send him back in for other abilities. With Lunatic Dragon, you can really stack up the plus 2Ks on various abilities. Though, maybe I'm going to replace one of these with a Brassy Bunny someday. Remember, I can search out things from my deck using several different abilities, like the Mirrorland Girl. So this is Intensely Sweet Clown. Don't know why he has that name, but when this unit is placed on R from soul, plus 5k. So Harry summons things out from soul and gives it plus 5k, so that's plus 17k. Then you use Ginny to send an Alice into the soul and summon it back out with plus 5k. So it's a 15k Alice being boosted by a 17k Intensely Sweet Clown, so that's a 32k column. Nightmare Dolls don't have to be their own build, guys. Some people would say to run the booster that stands every time you pull out a Nightmare Doll, but honestly, this build isn't geared for that. This is build for power and for consistency of soul charging and pulling things out of soul when I need them, and for the combos, just the combos. Remember, the Nightmare Doll Alice is a 1 turn long combo of 17k columns or 22k columns if your opponent is an idiot. But this is a 32k column once, but I run stands, which should be convincing enough for anybody. Also, other things pop out. You know how it is. It's a circus. It's an evil, evil murder clown circus. 4 purple trapezes. Why? Because she sends something into soul and sends something else back out that isn't her. So you can't just infinitely combo her with like Lunatech Dragon, which makes me sad. But she's still a lot of fun. Along with several abilities like Intensely Sweet Clown, what you can do is you can like have an Intensely Sweet Clown. He's just a 7k. Slap her down, flip, flip. Now he's a 12k. Same with things like Nightmare Doll Alice. You send in an Alice, you pull out Ginny. Send Ginny in, pull out Alice again, plus 5k. And this is one of the cards that, you know, kind of really mess up the autos in this deck. In the sense that you pull it out with Harry, you soul charge, you send something else out. Various other abilities stack up like Periton, and you just got to make sure that you do it in the right order. By the way, you can summon out with Periton. It is fun as hell. 4 Perfect Shield. Hades Ringmaster is my favorite. That's Hades Hypnotist, and I wish I could run Hades Ringmaster in this deck. He's just my favorite. That's it. There's no real explanation for him. He can also guard rear guards like this. Say that very valuable Alice. Misdirection 2 of basically if she's in the soul, you summon something else out. Like let's say you let Mirror Demon hit, and you soul charge off of the draw trigger like first turn that you get to attack. So you summon it up, soul charge her, something else comes out like a grade 1, she also comes out. She is not bound by G-Break, she is from set 15. It's pretty great. I like Windnumb, that's why you see my foot. I'm sorry. Don't worry, it's a clean sock. Very clean. Mirror Demon on hit, anything, whether it's like their 10k attacker, like the 7k that turns into a 10k attacker, you know, it's like swing 8k at my grade 1. Haha. Yeah, he attacks, counterblast 1, put him in the soul, summon something else out, like say an Alice. I have chained Alice and Mirror Demon off each other once or twice, but it's kind of hard because the opponent usually pulls a trigger or starts guarding their rear guards because they realize how stupid it is to let it attack all the time. And it is funny to use with Lunatech Dragon and Harry, so it's a 15k by itself. And then you put like Intensely Sweet Clown or Purple Trapezes or something behind it, and it suddenly turns into a 21k, a legitimate threat. Remember, this is how this deck works. Nightmare Doll Ginny. Put this unit into the soul. When this unit is placed on rearguard from anywhere, it may pay the cost. If you do, choose a Nightmare Doll Alice. Call it a rearguard circle. Plus 5k. So basically what you can do is you can have a Harry, and you have an Alice in soul, obviously. You pull it out, plus 5k, that's fine. Send it back in, pull out an Alice, plus 5k. And then Alice hits, you know. Yep. Basically, and just so you know, let's say that you soul charge a Mirror Land girl. You would summon out her, have her do her ability, and then use Mirror Land. At least from what I understand. Flying Periton. Yes, he is a Stag Pegasi. He is pretty sweet. When this unit is placed on a rearguard, soul charge 1, choose a card from soul, call it to rearguard, same column as this unit, and at the end of the turn, call the unit back. And of course, he'll probably go back into the deck himself through various abilities. But what I like about him is that he's a free column, and even though none of my columns are pretty beefy, they have a lot of ways of gaining power, and plus the fact that he has a plus 5k guarantees me a 20k column at least, or if I have an Intensely Sweet Clown, there we go. It turns into a, let's see, 5k, 14. Let's say it's a Lunatech turn also. 16k by himself with a Lunatech. And then boosting with this, which is a 17k with, 14k with a Lunatech, is like a 31k column. Or a 30k column or something. And of course, you know, other abilities are going to go off. And maybe I'll use a poison juggler or something. Let's talk about those grade 3s. 4 Alice's, SP. Counterblast 1, when this unit hits something, and you have a Pale Moon Vanguard, send this into Soul for a Counterblast, and summon something else out that isn't Nightmare Doll Alice. Basically, you summon out Jenny, Jenny summons out her. And just do that forever. That's part of the reason why the Nightmare Doll Alice combo works. With the normal grade 3, it can just... But if it hits with the grade 3, you Jenny. And so with all the power I gain from other abilities and the stands I use, I can really get a lot of worth out of her. She's probably one of the best cards in the game. Like, there are good cards in the game like Dote, and then there are cards like her that work in every situation and bring a spice to the deck that is really lacking in most builds. Now, that is to say, I'm pretty sure I'm going to build a deck around not having her. Just the Magia stuff, a budget build. But, you know, if I could put her in every Pale Moon deck I ever make, yes. And what's funny is that I bought her when she was $3 a piece or so, and the SP was like less than, it was about 5 to 7. And then as soon as they announced all the new Pale Moon stuff and the Nightmare Doll Jenny and the Nightmare Doll support, she shot up in price like $20 to $30, and I just laughed and laughed. For Harry, his G-Break 2 ability is pretty simple. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, choose one card from your soul, call it to rearguard, parry it, give it plus 3k, and this gains plus 3k. So it's like let's say that you somehow are able to pull out, let's say it's in game, you somehow able to pull out a sweet sick clown, so that it boosts it for 22k. So that's 12k booster, so 23k, 26k. That's pretty nice. And then you pull out, say, a Nightmare Doll Alice and put it behind whatever, or pull out a Jenny. Almost caught myself there. Flip, plus 3k. He still gets a plus 3k. His best ability though is on stride, Counterblast, Soul Charge. Choose one card from Soul, call it to rearguard, plus 5k, and then return it to Soul at the end of turn. Now this will mess you up against like Diablo, but against, say, Kagero in general, where they have to kill things all the time, he's pretty funny. I've melted fields back into him before, and it's just great. Too shiny. Not much else to say about him, really. I don't really want to send him into the Soul with the stand trigger as much, because I do need Stride Fodder in this deck, other Alices and whatnot. But this deck gains so much card advantage and so much field advantage that I don't really need it. And those 2 draws really do help. So riding Alice is a thing in this deck. So I run 2 Medus. Basically, you stride it and you pay a grade 3 for it, choose a grade 3 from the drop zone and put it into your hand. I've also done that for like things, you healed a grade 3 out of your drop zone, you put it into your hand. You know, and it basically you get your rides. So honestly, I wish I had 2 more Lunatics in this build, but I'm pretty fine with this, honestly. Arbor Dragon Master Amanda. When this unit hits a Vanguard, Soul Charge 1. Choose a unit from the Soul, call it to rearguard plus 2k, and at the end of the turn, call it back into the Soul. So basically, what you can do is you can pull out let's say that you've done a bunch of stuff, and your Vanguards are out and you don't hit any stands, but they let you hit it with the Vanguard. So what you do is you pull out a purple Trapezis wherever, and then you send in Nightmare Doll Alice, send out a Jenny, send in Jenny, send out Nightmare Doll Alice. The starter goes into the Soul for a draw and a Soul Charge. You know, there's a lot of stuff there that you can do with her, and that means that Alice will be hitting for 23k, which is really nice. Not much else to say about her, though. She is the workhorse of this deck, and she's probably one of the best first target strides that they have. There's a guy called Mephistopheles that's coming out, but he's weird. I'm going to talk about him later when he comes out. He'll be cheap. But he gets plus 3k and some things out for Soul and stuff, and he gets a crit if you have so many face up. Weird. Lunatic Dragon. Flip him over. And when this unit is placed on Vanguard, if you have... When this unit is placed on Vanguard, Choose a card. Lunatic Jester. Oh, okay, you can use it the first turn, but he doesn't get the crit until G3. Sorry. Basically, when this unit is placed on, when your unit is placed on R, that unit gets plus 2k until end of turn. I used to think that he and they got plus 2k, but I was wrong on that. But that's basically giving 7k out for Harry's ability, Ginny's ability, Sickening Sleep Clown ability, whatever you do with Purple Trapezis, horrible, horrible things you do Purple Trapezis, it does that. And then if you have G-Break 3, you get a crit, which is nice. I use him as my quasi finisher. But and again, with these strides, they aren't the heroes of this deck. The rear guards are. But he does work. He is a workhorse. Finally, this guy's pretty situational, and he uses a lot of counterblast that I need for like my Alice's. But Dragon Masquerade Harry. Counterblast 2, G-Break 3, choose one of your rear guards, put into the soul. Put in something that you want. Or like you can put like a mirror land girl, put her in the soul for his ability, and then go from there. Choose up to 3 cards from your soul, call it to rear guard. So in other words, you get like 2 or 3 free columns. 2 free columns from the soul. Like say with Perryton. You don't get a Vanguard booster though. So basically what I would do is Ginny, Sickening Sleep Clown, Sweet Clown, Perryton, Purple Trapezius, or Sickeningly Sweet Clown if I could do it. If I have both out there, I would. Or Purple Trapezius for just another thing, I guess. And then put the cards in the soul. And then if you have 5 or more rear guards, and you will, if you're not, against the ropes, but, the way I described it, you should be just fine, especially if you have a misdirection in there to fill up that last slot. Put 2 of the rear guards and put them into their soul. Now, this can hurt you if they are running like Dark Irregular Bladewing Sullivan, but nobody runs that guy except for me. So, or they think they do. Alright. So yeah, that's what he does. This is a fun deck. Like, it is ridiculously fun just to laugh and laugh and laugh as you see people trying to compensate for the fact that Pale Moon's all of a sudden hitting numbers, but you weren't hitting numbers. In fact, they're not sure that you had a field, but all of a sudden you did some things with your hands, and there's a field just materializing, like puppets on strings, and that sort of ruins their Vanguard game. Doesn't do so well against rush decks, partly because it does want to rush, but it doesn't want to rush at the same time. Again, though, Jenny is not based on G-Break. Misdirection is not based on G-Break. Actually, it's pretty fun if you somehow are able to get Alice in the Soul early game, and then you get like with a Purple Trapezis or something. And no, that wouldn't work. How can I do it early game? Basically, it would have to be with Magician of... No, Into the Soul. It would have to be with the draw trigger. Or with... yeah, it would have to be the draw trigger. Anyway, let's say that you use a draw trigger turn 1 and got an Alice into the Soul. Then you can pull out a Ginny. Let's say that you use the other draw trigger and got a Misdirection. All of a sudden, that's a field. That's a field from nowhere. All of a sudden, it's there. What's happening? What's going on? Why do you have so many columns? Why are you attacking? Why did you let Alice hit? That was a terrible idea. It's always a terrible idea. And this deck, more so a terrible idea than in the Nightmare Doll specific deck, which I think this would attack the port itself favorably against. Have a great night, guys.